mist hung low over the river, curling in pale ribbons. The fleet moved in silence, oars dipping without splash, as if the men themselves felt the air watching them. Thorir sat in the lead boat, one hand on the ashwood tiller, eyes fixed ahead. Harold crouched behind him, sharpening his say-axe with long, slow strokes. No one spoke. Even the berserkers were quiet, lips pale, eyes already glassy from the bullmurt they'd chewed at dawn. That night, on the deck of Seafang, Thorir and Harold sat apart from the others, hunched near the brazier. The heat barely pushed back the damp. "It wasn't a real war band," Harold muttered, turning a blood-crusted axe in his hands. "Too small, too wild, poorly armed." Thorir nodded slowly, more like dogs thrown at a gate, to see what's on the other side. Harold looked across the black water. They weren't there to win. "No," Thorir said. "They were there to see how we fight." A silence. Then, from the shadows, old Svein the Skald spoke. No one had seen him step forward. His hair was matted, his beard thick with dried river mud. But his eyes gleamed with thought. "They watched," he said. "From the trees, Slavic scouts. I saw them, 2 of them. They never moved to fight, just stood there, watching us bleed. Then they vanished." Thorir met his eyes, and Svein spat over the rail. "They'll come again, but not like this. They'll come in numbers." Harold's brow darkened. Why so few the first time? Why send slaves and madmen? "Because that's all they were willing to waste on us. Yet," Svein said. "We're strangers here. They don't know what we are, so they tested the wolf's teeth. Next time, they'll bring fire and steel." Thorir stood. The torchlight flickered against his scarred face. "Then let them come." He paused. "Or we can hunt them down." For 2 days, the fleet hid under overhanging pines, tending wounds, burying their dead in shallow graves. 4 men gone. Good men. Names spoken softly around the fire. And then, never again. Thorir said nothing, only paced the bank like a wolf on a chain. His axe never left his hand. Harold sharpened his say-axe until it gleamed like ice, muttering under his breath. The berserkers stayed apart, chewing bullmurt, eyes distant and unfocused. On the 3rd dawn, they left the boats behind. 8 and 10 men marched upriver on foot, following broken branches, trampled reeds, the faint stink of sweat and wood smoke. Scouts moved ahead, silent as ghosts. Once, they found a single footprint, small, bare, and beside it, a broken spear shaft, stained dark. "They're close," Ingvar Björn growled. "Dogs running from their own kill." By the 2nd night, they found the Slavic camp, a ring of crude huts, fires burning low, laughter drifting through the clearing. No sentries worth the name. These men thought they had broken the wolves. Thorir stood at the tree line, face cold and unreadable. "No prisoners," he said flatly. Then, after a beat, "Except the girls. Take what you want. Leave only the warriors breathing, if at all." The berserkers bit their shields until their mouths ran red. They went in at dawn, like shadows turning solid. The first man never saw them. His skull split before he could cry out. Then the camp woke to fire and screaming. Axes rose and fell. Huts burned. Slavic warriors stumbled from their beds to die half-armed. Throats opened before they could reach their spears. Some tried to form a shield wall. It held for 10 heartbeats before the berserkers tore through, eyes wide and foaming, roaring like beasts. Harold waded into the fight like a man threshing grain, his sayax carving through flesh as easily as straw. Ingvar ripped a man's arm off at the shoulder and used it to beat another to death. By mid-morning, the camp was gone. Nothing but smoke, blood, and silence. Piles of the dead lay where they had fallen, throats gnawed by iron, eyes staring. A few huts still burned, sending black trails into the pale sky. The Norsemen gathered at the center, slick with blood, panting. The berserkers were slow to calm, shaking like hounds after the kill. Harold wiped his blade on a dead man's tunic and spat. "Let them send more," he said. "Let them learn what a wolf's bite feels like." Thorir nodded once. His face was spattered, his eyes pale and distant. "They will," he said. This was just the first debt. Behind them, the girls huddled by the trees, silent, staring at the men who had spared them, not with gratitude, but with fear. When the Norsemen marched back to the boats, the clearing still smoked. Ravens already circled overhead.